Awaken to hair growth. Awaken to hair growth because there is possibility to get your hair back. Awaken to hair growth because we're not told that we're able to conquer and overcome alopecia. Awaken to hair growth because I want to be a positive light and beacon for you because I've healed my alopecia and now I help others do the same with different types of alopecia, men, women, children of all ages, of all races and ethnicities.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Alopecia Angel podcast. I am your host, Johanna Dahlman, and today we are going to answer this question: how and why did I lose my hair overnight? And for some of you, it was literally overnight. Within 24 hours, you lost hair due to many reasons, or maybe just one reason that you assume is the culprit. And for others, it's been a hair loss journey of months, maybe years, maybe even decades. For a lot of my clients, what I see is that it's broken up into 2 or 3 categories of people. One is the absolute overnight, or maybe losing all the hair, going to alopecia universalis, or just losing and going bald quickly after the COVID jab, right? After the COVID vaccination, that's been a big one. After a sudden situation where it's happened within 9 days and then you go bald, or within 3 weeks, or maybe you got one patch, let's say in July, and then all of a sudden by August, you are completely bald. It's one of those things where it goes from 0 to 60 in a really long, less amount of time. And it's very scary, of course. For others, you might have had alopecia for 15 years, 10 years, kind of put it on the wayside and never really paid too much attention because it was a bald spot here and there. And then the bald spot cleared up and then, it grew back in by itself, or you used some medication and that medication helped. And then you stopped using the medication. And then all of a sudden, then you get another episode, as they like to call it, another episode of alopecia, a second. And it wasn't so bad, worse than the first. And then you go ahead and, do the old routine, whatever that was before, and it grows back and you're fine. And then a third and potentially even a fourth. But now it's a lot worse. Now that third and fourth episode is absolutely devastating. And it's taking you from areata to totalis, or potentially it's taking you to universalis. And this is another category of people that I've seen within my hundreds of clients. The other situation, of course, are those of you who've been dealing with it, let's say for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but it's been this steady, diffuse, all over hair loss that you can't really pinpoint with one thing or another. And you've seen gazillions of doctors and dermatologists, and you've tried everything out on the market and nothing has helped. My last client who just joined the program, she was telling me that she had tried absolutely everything from the high expensive vitamins, right? You know which ones I'm talking about. She's tried the European treatment centers that showcase many celebrities on there. She's tried the PRP and laser caps, and she has spent literally thousands of dollars. And she was absolutely skeptical of joining me. She's like, how are you different? How is this going to really help me? And, in a few words, essentially the difference is that it's not a one size fits all. The difference is that this is essentially 100% customized to you, 100% customized and tailored to you. And it has to be, because her situation is probably very different from mine, which it is, and different from everyone other else who I'm dealing with and who I'm helping right now. The thing is, because we are all different, we all live in different countries, we all have a different diet and lifestyle. This is exactly what I'm looking at. It's not all the same, and so it cannot be treated the same. And she had many blind spots. But for those of you who want to understand the why and the how of hair loss, the why and the how right now, why did this happen within 24 hours? Whatever you think it is, whether it's because of PCOS or because of hormones, or because of thyroid, or because of, the COVID vaccine, or because of anything else that's been going on, or that you think is the root cause, it's not the root cause. Hair loss is actually the tipping point. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. It is the unrelenting spotlight of a bigger situation, of many other situations. And this is why those are all uncovered within the evaluation, which is 10 pages long, that is tailored to you. And not only that, but then from there, you are looking at all the changes, the benefits, and how this can be cleared up in less time. Something that has taken Nicole, my last client who I'm telling you about, who has tried everything, who Nicole has tried and has been taking, a lot of times is not good for her, because she has a certain situation where, let's say, an all-in-one multivitamin or an all-in-one green juice product is not good for her. And many times it wouldn't be good for you either. And so this is where we think where something that's healthy for the public is not necessarily healthy for us going through hair loss, us going through a certain situation, right? Because again, maybe those people who are taking the green juice or who are taking those certain vitamins aren't going through hair loss, even though it could be formulated for people with hair loss. But at the same time, it's not good for you. And that's the key to this, because it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It can't be if you want true results. It can't be if you want long-term results. This is why those serum, shampoos, vitamins, etc., hair caps and laser caps and PRP don't work, because it's a one-size-fits-all approach. And that won't render long-term results. It won't. And it won't give you back the abundance. It won't give you back the full hair. Everyone is so different. And so this is where with coaching, you're able to really see this. With the evaluation, you're really able to see, okay, this is what's going on. I have a mirror in front of me. I can't deny it. This is what needs to happen. These are the changes. And this is how we can move forward to see the results that we're looking for. So don't think hair loss came out of nowhere, because that was my mistake of thinking as well. When I was going through alopecia, for those of you who don't know, I had alopecia areata and it moved into totalis, not completely, but it was getting there. It was moving into that really quick. And this hair loss came out of nowhere. And I hear this a lot, and I get it because I've been through it myself. Alopecia areata came out of nowhere. I thought I was the poster child for health. I was tan, I was buff and toned, I was lean, I was running on a daily basis, I was lifting weights, I had a personal trainer, I was already eating a certain way, to keep my abs and everything else going. And, I had the bikini bottom, the bikini body. I had everything going for me. I had a great job. I was living in Miami. I was moving to Denver. Like, all these great things were happening. So why is it that all of a sudden I was smacked literally upside down the head with alopecia? And I say smacked because I was clueless. I was absolutely clueless. I was dumbfounded at the fact that A, I had a bald spot, B, I had this diagnosis called alopecia, and C, that this was happening to me. I was the healthiest person in my whole family. I still am. But at the same time, the definition of health looks a lot different to me now than it did before, right? And this is why, more than likely, this is why I've had personal trainers, nurses, doctors, pharmacists, dietitians, nutritionists come to me, because they're also struggling with hair loss, but yet with their education, with their backgrounds, they still don't understand why. They still don't get it. They still don't see what's going on. And a lot of times you need somebody else. You need that expert eye to look at you and say, this is what's going wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. We can tweak this, change this, modify here, modify there. And that's what's needed to get you over the hump. If you're still looking at the same strategy, at the same format of trying to heal your hair as how you got there, you're not going to get there. The thing is, you need a different strategy, a different approach, one that you can't necessarily buy at the drugstore or buy at the medical office or get at the pharmacy, because that strategy won't work for you. And I say this not because I'm trying to sway you one way or another, but it's because it's proven. This is why they say there's no cure for alopecia, because there's not one pill that does it all for everybody. Does that make sense? And on top of it, a lot of those people who do take the pill have, unfortunately, tons of side effects, tons of negative side effects that affect fertility, that affect other organs, that affect so many possibilities to your health, especially when you're growing. You don't want pharmaceuticals in your children. You don't. As a mother, I don't want pharmaceuticals in my children. That's a last case scenario. You really need to focus on what true health looks like. How can you improve that? And the strategy that one person would use over another for the same goal can look entirely different, can look very, very different. And it is because, again, the way you could probably see this in most things that need a tailored approach, when it comes to being committed to exercise, or when it needs to be a commitment to, let's say, picking up a new sport or even anything else, there needs to be a commitment factor. I know all of you want your hair back. I know all of you have a commitment towards your hair, and you've come to me because you want the natural and holistic approach. But you've also come to me because I've rendered results, long-term results to my clients that you can see quickly. And it's all about supporting the body. So don't think that if you lost hair all of a sudden, that it's the last thing that maybe might have triggered it. Because that last thing, whatever it was just the tipping point. It was the last straw that your body's like, I'm giving up. I can't go any further. And I know many of you might understand this when you've hit a wall when it comes to, let's say, with your boss or with a friend or, with a certain situation that you're going to. You just hit a wall and you just kind of like give up, right? And in this case, I'm telling you, don't give up. Keep going, because you can get your hair back in less time. The beautiful part is that healing is always a possibility for anyone and everyone, regardless of where you live and what's going on. The other option and the other, I say, tidbit of information that I would love to give you is that healing is ready when you are. A lot of times, we're told when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And a lot of times, maybe you're not ready right now to join anything, to do anything, or to want to change anything. You just kind of like want to feel the feelings. You want to check out what your options are. Maybe you don't even want to do anything. I've come across parents who come to me and they have like their 16, 20-year-old child who's a little bit rebellious because they've been seeing doctor after doctor, doing treatment after treatment, and they're just kind of sick of it. And they're just like, no, thanks, mom, no more. I don't want to do anything. And at that point, you just kind of have to like let it go. And once they are ready, once you are ready, we're here for you. And it's got to be at your own time. You have to be ready, whether it's for college or driving school or that next step in life, that next step, whether it's the promotion, marriage, etc., that next step, that next level to commitment. Because at the end of the day, this is a commitment to you. This is a commitment to you, to your health, and to your hair. And in order to get the end result, there needs to be some training, some re-education, and changes need to happen, right? And changes are uncomfortable, but the discomfort leads us to the end result, right? If it was so easy to do a marathon, to climb Mount Everest, or to do anything grandiose, anybody and everybody would do it. And I wouldn't be here because we would all have that magic pill in a bottle. It would be super easy, right? But it's not. It's more convoluted and it's a lot more perplexed. It's a lot more involved than what meets the eye. You have the hair here, but what's going on, there's a bunch of levels that go down that we need to ensure that are taken care of. And unfortunately, I've said this multiple times, doctors, dermatologists weren't able to help me. And there is no, per se, doctor that specializes in just alopecia. That's a good thing, and that's also a bad thing. But that doesn't mean that you can't heal. That doesn't mean that there's no possibility for you. That doesn't mean that there's no hope. That doesn't mean that your destiny is to be bald or your destiny is just to accept this. It's just like the same thing as accepting a cold. Okay, you accept a cold, but you do something to get better. You don't want it to lead to bronchitis, right? It's the same thing with alopecia. Okay, you got alopecia, do something about it. You have hair loss, maybe just regular diffuse, maybe just regular telogen effluvium, maybe androgenetic, maybe scarring, maybe some sort of other type of alopecia. Maybe it's not autoimmune alopecia, but you still have hair loss. So let's just call it for what it is. You still have hair loss. So you have the choice to do something about it or to not do something. And more than likely, it's the tailored approach that will render the best results. More than likely. This is what I've seen, not just in myself, but also in my clients. And once you do the work, once you follow the steps, that part is easy. Then you're able to get the results that you want long term. And again, hair loss is the tipping point. There's so much more going on behind the scenes that has brought you here to this point in time. So when I get those text messages or those instant messages about, I got the COVID vaccine and I know it was because of COVID and I know it was because of this and, this is what's led me to hair loss. Okay, it could be a factor for sure, but it's not the whole picture. It's not the whole picture. And just like healing alopecia is 1,000 multiple pieces to this puzzle, in the same way, getting alopecia also has lots of pieces. So getting it and healing it has many puzzle pieces to it. So it wasn't just one thing. That could have just been the tipping point. So for those of you who are alarmed and scared that this just happened to you, or that this just happened to your loved one or your child within the last weeks, months, understand that you can heal from this, even if it's COVID induced, even if it's hormone, even if it's thyroid, even if it's anything else that you want to label it as. Hair loss is hair loss. It doesn't matter whether you are any other country in the world out of the 200 plus countries that we have. It doesn't matter. Hair is hair. And there's a way to support your body at a cellular level, at a biological level, to ensure that you render the best results. And many times it's step by step. And this is why it's a 2-month program, because it's 8 weeks of a lot of information. But these 8 weeks will guide you and set you up for success for the rest of your life. So I hope this answers your question as to why and how you got alopecia, you got hair loss, or you're seeing hair loss overnight. Again, it's the tipping point. For those of you who have been dealing with it for years, it's only gonna continue or get worse unless you do something about it. For those of you who just saw it, who've just been recently diagnosed, you can heal as quickly. For those of you who've been dealing with it for over 20 years, you can still heal it quickly. It's never too late to heal. And that's the best part. As long as you're living, breathing, and willing to heal, and you still want your hair, that door is always open for you. It really is. And it only now that I'm on the other side, right? You need to go through this tunnel, and I'm on the other side where there's a lot of light, right? A lot of light. Only now am I able to see that the possibilities are absolutely endless for anyone who wants it. Just like, climbing Mount Everest is there for anybody who wants to climb it. It really is. It's not like it closes on certain days like Disneyland. It's always open. That mountain is always open. Yes, there's certain times of the year that are better than others, but at the same time, it's always open. And I think that's the same mindset that you should have about your hair loss, that it's always a possibility, that it's always there. And it's just really the bigger question is, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want your hair growth? How bad do you want your hair back? I look forward to speaking to you in the next episode. Please rate and review our podcast. We would appreciate your review, and we will be having a raffle here soon, shortly. So stay tuned to us so that we can keep you posted on the next steps. All the best. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Alopecia Angel podcast, a positive light in healing alopecia. You can do this, and we can help. Spread the word that reversing alopecia is possible by telling your friends and family.